Commander Park floated in the silence of Deep Relay Outpost 7. The station was old and tired, just like she felt after 11 months of watching empty space. Outside her small window, stars burned cold and distant. They were beautiful, but beauty meant nothing when you were alone. The outpost sat at the edge of known space, far from Earth, far from home, far from everything she loved. Her job was simple but boring. She watched screens. She listened to signals. She waited for something that never came. Most days, the universe sent nothing but static and the occasional beep from a passing cargo ship. Missed her family so much it hurt like a wound that would not heal. She had a wife named waiting for her on Earth, in a small house in Seoul with a garden full of flowers. And she had 3 children. Not human children, but children all the same. Tao and Little. They were a species that looked like cats walking on 2 legs, with soft fur and big bright eyes and the sweetest purrs in the galaxy. She had adopted them 5 years ago from a dying colony world. The rescue mission had been Sidea. She had seen the small cubs huddled in the wreckage of their village, scared and hungry, and she had known in that moment that they belonged to her. Had agreed without hesitation. That was the kind of woman was. Her heart was as big as the sky. Now Tao was 7, was 5, and was 4. They were growing up without her. Every month she missed felt like a year. Every video call reminded her of what she was losing. Looked at the photo stuck to her console. It showed all 5 of them on's 3rd birthday, was laughing, covered in cake frosting. Tao was trying to look serious and grown up, was mid-sneeze, her golden fur standing on end, and was staring at the camera with huge purple eyes, a candle still burning on her whiskers. That birthday had been the last time was home. She had promised she would be there for her 4th birthday. She had promised, but the mission kept getting extended. 1 more month, command said, then another, then another. She had watched 4th birthday through a screen, her daughter crying and asking why mommy was still in the sky. Had not slept well since that night. The clock on the wall showed 300 hours. The middle of the night cycle when the station was darkest and quietest. Should have been sleeping, but sleep did not come easy anymore. She sat at her console instead, drinking cold coffee and staring at nothing. That was when the alert pinged. The sound was sharp and unexpected, jumped, spilling coffee on her uniform. She wiped it away quickly and looked at her screen. A new signal had appeared. This was unusual. Signals at this time of night were rare. Signals from this direction were even rarer. She pulled up the data and frowned. The signal was strange. It did not match anything in the Federation database. It was messy and rough, like someone had built a transmitter from broken parts. The frequency jumped around wildly, but underneath the chaos there was a pattern, a rhythm, almost like a heartbeat. Ran the signal through her analysis programs. The computer worked for several minutes, processing the data, comparing it to known sources. When the results appeared, felt the blood drain from her face. The signal was coming from Earth. More specifically, it was coming from Seoul. Even more specifically, it was coming from her home address. Stared at the coordinates. She checked them twice, then 3 times. There was no mistake. Someone or something in her house was broadcasting a signal powerful enough to reach the edge of known space. Her first thought was that something was wrong, an emergency, an attack. Her hands shook as she opened a communication channel to Earth. The connection took forever, bouncing through dozens of relay stations across thousands of light years. When it finally connected, she saw his tired face on the screen. It was afternoon in Seoul. Was in the kitchen, wearing an old sweater that used to belong to. Behind her, could see the cubs' artwork stuck to the refrigerator. Blinked in surprise. What's wrong? Your face is white as snow. Are you okay? Are the cubs okay? Is everyone safe? Tilted her head confused. We're fine, everyone is fine. Why? What happened? I'm picking up a signal from our house. A strong signal, strong enough to reach me out here. There was a long pause. His expression shifted from confusion to something else, something that looked almost like guilt. "Wait here," said, "I need to check something." The screen showed walking through the house, heard her calling the cubs names. There was no answer. Climbed the stairs to the second floor where the children's bedroom was. Watched, her heart beating hard in her chest. Pushed open the bedroom door. Inside could see three small shapes huddled around something on the floor. Tao's silver fur, his golden fur, his white fur with the black spots. They were crouched under his bed, whispering to each other. "What are you three doing?" asked. The cubs froze. Tao's ears went flat against his head. His tail, puffed up like a bottle brush, let out a tiny squeak of surprise. "Nothing, Mama," Tao said quickly, too quickly. Knelt down and looked under the bed, saw her wife's eyes go wide, very wide. Said slowly, her voice strange and distant, "I think I found your signal." She pulled something out from under the bed and held it up to the camera, leaned closer to her screen, trying to understand what she was seeing. It was a device, a machine. It looked like something built by a mad scientist from spare parts. Recognized pieces of Tao's learning tablet, wires from the kitchen recycler, and the blinking light of what looked like the emergency transponder chip from their shuttle registration. The whole thing hummed with blue light, and strange symbols scrolled across a cracked screen. "What is that?" whispered. Tao stepped forward, his small chest puffed out with pride. "It's a beacon, Mommy," he said, his voice clear across 4,000 light years. "We built it, me and we built it to call you home faster." Could not speak. She could not breathe. She looked at her son, her brilliant, impossible son, and at her daughters standing behind him with hope shining in their eyes. "You built a beacon," she finally managed to say. "Yes, Mommy." "An interstellar beacon." "Yes, Mommy." "From broken parts." Tao nodded proudly. "We used your old engineering files, did the math, helped with the feeling parts." "The feeling parts." Bounced forward, her whiskers twitching. "I can feel when the signal is happy, Mommy. I made sure it was happy so it would find you." Laughed, or maybe she cried. She was not sure anymore. The sound that came out of her was something between both, raw and broken, and full of more love than her body could contain. "You beautiful, crazy, wonderful children," she said. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" The cubs looked at each other, uncertain now. "Are we in trouble?" asked in a small voice. Wiped her eyes. "No, baby, you're not in trouble, you're miracles." On the screen, gathered the cubs into her arms, the device still glowing between them. They looked at the camera together, a family separated by stars but connected by something stronger. "Come home," said softly. "Your children called, it's time to answer." 12 hours before the signal reached Commander Park, the morning in Seoul had started like any other morning in the Park household. Woke up early, made breakfast, and prepared for another day of raising 3 alien children alone. The house was never quiet when the cubs were awake. Tao liked to read aloud from his science books. Sang songs she made up in her head, songs that made no sense but sounded pretty. Talked to everything, including furniture, food, and invisible friends that only she could see. The noise used to give headaches. Now she could not imagine living without it. But this morning was different. This morning the house was silent. Stood in the kitchen holding a cup of tea, listening to nothing. No singing, no reading, no talking to chairs. Just the soft hum of the house and the distant sound of birds outside the window. Silence in a house with 3 cubs was never a good sign. Tao called, "Where are you?" No answer came. Put down her tea and walked through the house. The living room was empty. The playroom was empty. She climbed the stairs slowly, her heart beginning to beat a little faster. The cubs were usually easy to find. They were loud and messy and left trails of fur everywhere they went. Finding them was never hard. But today, no trail, no noise, no cubs. Reached the top of the stairs and stopped outside the bedroom door. She could hear something now. Whispers. Soft, urgent whispers in the language the cubs used when they did not want adults to understand. It was a mix of their native tongue and made-up words they had invented together. Push the door open. The bedroom looked normal at first glance. 3 small beds with colorful blankets, toys scattered across the floor, drawings pinned to the walls, mostly pictures of the family in various colors and shapes. But then noticed where the cubs were. All 3 of them were crouched under bed, their bodies pressed close together, their tails wrapped around each other. They were working on something that glowed with soft blue light. "What are you 3 doing?" asked. The cubs froze. It was like watching a video pause. They stopped moving, stopped breathing, stopped everything. Then slowly they turned to look at her. Tao's silver ears pressed flat against his skull. This was his guilty face. Knew it well. She had seen it when he broke the kitchen window with a ball. She had seen it when he tried to reprogram the house robot to make candy instead of dinner. She had seen it many times over the years. "Nothing, Mama," Tao said. His voice was too high, too fast, too obviously lying. His golden fur stood up along her spine. Her tail puffed to twice its normal size. These were signs of stress in and was clearly very stressed. "We were just playing," she added, not meeting his eyes. The youngest had not yet learned how to lie properly. She was 4 years old and her face showed every emotion like an open book. Right now, that face showed excitement and fear and pride all mixed together. She looked then at the glowing thing under the bed, then back at. "We made a present," announced happily. "No," Tao hissed. But it was too late. The secret was out. Knelt down on the floor, her knees pressing into the soft carpet. She looked under the bed and felt her world tilt sideways. The device was about the size of a shoebox. It was made of parts that recognized from around the house. She saw the broken screen from Tao's learning tablet, now displaying strange symbols that scrolled endlessly. She saw wires that used to belong to the kitchen recycler, twisted together in complex patterns. She saw the emergency transponder chip from their family shuttle, blinking with a steady red light. And surrounding all of these parts, wrapped around them like a glowing cocoon, was a web of blue light that seemed to pulse with its own heartbeat. "What is this?" whispered. Her voice sounded far away, even to her own ears. Tao crawled out from under the bed and stood before her. He was small, barely reaching her waist, but in that moment he looked older, serious, proud. "It's a beacon, Mama," he said. "We built it to call Mommy home faster." Could not find words. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. She looked at the device, then at Tao, then at, and who had also crawled out and were watching her with worried eyes. "How long have you been working on this?" she finally asked. The cubs looked at each other. Some silent communication passed between them, the kind that siblings share without words. "Since Mommy missed birthday," said quietly, "cried for 3 days. Remembered. She remembered holding while the little one sobbed, asking over and over why Mommy was still in the sky. She remembered feeling helpless and angry and sad all at the same time. She remembered wondering if her family was slowly breaking apart. "We didn't want to cry anymore," Tao explained. "We didn't want any of us to cry anymore, so we decided to bring Mommy home ourselves." "But how?" gestured at the device. "How did you build this? How did you know what to make?" Tao's chest puffed out a little. "I read Mommy's old engineering files, all of them. She left them on the home computer before she went away. I studied them every night after you put us to bed. And I did the math," added. She was the middle child, quieter than the others, but her mind was sharp as a blade. "The frequencies and the harmonics. Tao showed me what Mommy's files said, and I calculated how to make the signal go far enough." "Turn 2, and you, what did you do?" Smiled, showing her tiny teeth. "I helped with the feeling parts, Mama. I can feel the signals, like colors, but in my head. I made sure our signal felt like love, so Mommy would know it was from us." sat back on her heels. Her mind was spinning. She was not a scientist or an engineer. She was a teacher, a gardener, a mother. She did not understand subspace frequencies or signal harmonics or whatever magic the Cubs had performed here. But she understood one thing. Her children, her small alien children who had come to her broken and scared from a dying world, had done something impossible. They had reached across the stars with nothing but love and determination and spare parts from around the house. "Are we in trouble, Mama?" asked. Her lower lip trembled, her big purple eyes filled with water. Pulled all three cubs into her arms. They came willingly, pressing their furry bodies against her, their purrs starting low and soft. She held them tight and breathed in their familiar smell, like warm bread in summer rain. "No, my bobbies," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "You're not in trouble, but we need to talk about this. We need to be careful." "The beacon is working," Tao said against her shoulder. "I checked the readings this morning. The signal is traveling. It's going to reach Mommy soon." Looked at the glowing device under the bed. It hummed quietly, steadily, like a heart beating in the darkness. "Then we better call your mother," she said, "and tell her what her children have done." The cubs cheered and bounced around the room, their earlier fear forgotten. They were proud of what they had built. They were excited to show Mommy. They did not understand the full weight of what they had accomplished, but understood. As she watched her children celebrate, she felt something grow in her chest. It was pride, yes, and love, but it was also something else, something like wonder. Her children had broken the rules of the universe because they missed their mother. And somehow, impossibly, the universe had let them. Picked up her communication pad and opened a channel to the stars. Somewhere out there, across 4,000 light-years of empty space, her wife was about to receive the strangest and most beautiful signal of her life. Whispered to herself, smiling through her tears, "Wait until you see what our bobbies have done." The news spread through the Federation like fire through dry grass. Within hours of Commander Park's report, scientists and engineers from every corner of human space were demanding access to the data. Within days, the small house in Seoul had become the most talked-about location in the galaxy. 3 children had done the impossible. 3 small cubs had built an interstellar beacon from household scraps. The signal they created had traveled 4,000 light-years in less than 12 hours. The fastest Federation communications took 3 days to cover the same distance. Nobody understood how. Nobody could explain it, and that made everyone very, very interested. Doctor was the first official scientist to arrive at the Park home. She was a Federation specialist in subspace communications, with 30 years of experience and more awards than she could fit on her office walls. She had built systems that connected colonies across hundreds of light years. She had written books about signal theory that were taught in every academy in human space. She stood in the cub's bedroom, looking at the device under the bed, and felt like a student again. "This shouldn't work," she said for the 5th time. She was on her knees, scanning the beacon with instruments that cost more than most houses. "The power source is completely insufficient. The materials are wrong. The design violates at least 7 fundamental principles of subspace physics." Stood in the doorway, keeping the cubs behind her. Tao was trying to peek around her legs, eager to explain his creation. Was Holding's hand, both of them watching the strange woman with careful eyes. "And yet it does work," said. "The signal reached my wife." Doctor sat back and rubbed her forehead. She had been examining the beacon for 3 hours. Each minute had brought new confusion. "May I speak with the children?" she asked. "I need to understand how they built this." Hesitated. She was protective of her cubs, especially around strangers, but Doctor seemed kind and the Federation needed answers. "Be gentle with them," she said. "They're just children." Doctor smiled softly. "I have of my own, I'll be careful." Tao stepped forward first. He was always the brave one, the leader of his small pack. His silver fur was neatly brushed, and his ears stood tall with confidence. "I can explain," he said. "I designed the beacon. I read all of Mommy's engineering files. She left them on the computer when she went away. I wanted to learn what she does, so I studied them every night." Doctor nodded and pulled out a recording device. "What did you learn?" "I learned about signals and frequencies and how they travel through space. Mommy's files talked about something called subspace. It's like a shortcut through the universe. If you know how to use it, you can send messages very fast." "That's correct. But subspace communication requires enormous power and very precise equipment. How did you solve those problems?" Tao frowned, thinking. "I didn't solve them, not the way Mommy's files said to. The files talked about forcing signals through subspace with big machines, but that seemed wrong to me." "Wrong how?" "Like trying to push water uphill. It takes so much energy. I thought maybe there was a better way, a way to let the signal flow instead of forcing it." Doctor leaned forward. "This was interesting. This was very interesting. Go on." Tao looked at his sisters, stepped forward to stand beside him. "I did the math," said. Her voice was quieter than Tao's, more careful with each word. "Tao showed me what he wanted to do and I calculated the frequencies, but it wasn't normal math. It was feeling math." "Feeling math?" Struggled to explain. Her golden fur rippled as she searched for words. "On our old world, before the bad things happened, our people could feel electromagnetic waves. It was how we talked to each other over long distances, not with machines but with our minds. The waves had feelings, happy ones and sad ones and angry ones. Different feelings made different patterns." Doctor's eyes widened. She had read about abilities, of course. Everyone knew that the species was sensitive to electromagnetic fields, but this was something more, something the research had never documented. "You can feel subspace frequencies?" she asked. "Not me," said, "but can." Everyone looked at the youngest cub. Had been hiding behind his legs, but now she peeked out with her big purple eyes. Her white fur with the black spots made her look like a tiny snow leopard. "I can feel the colors," said softly. "In my head. Signals have colors that nobody else can see. Some colors are warm and happy. Some are cold and scared. I help Tao and make our signal the right color." "What color did you make it?" Doctor asked gently. Thought about this for a moment. "Love color," she said finally. "Warm and pink and gold, like when Mama hugs us. I made the signal feel like love, so Mommy would know it was from us even before she heard it." Doctor was quiet for a long time. She looked at her instruments, then at the children, then at the glowing beacon under the bed. Her scientific mind was racing, trying to fit these puzzle pieces together. "You're saying," she said slowly, "that you built a device that uses emotional resonance to create a stable subspace channel. Instead of forcing the signal through with power, you let it flow through naturally by giving it the right emotional frequency." Tao nodded. "The universe wants signals to travel. It just needs to feel safe. That's what Mommy's files never talked about. They only talked about power and force. But we know about feelings. We know that feelings can do things that power can't." Doctor laughed. It was not a mocking laugh, but a laugh of pure wonder. In 30 years of work, she had never heard anything so strange or so beautiful. "You may have just revolutionized interstellar communication," she said. "Everything we know about subspace physics is based on force and power. We never considered that there might be another way, a gentler way." "Is that good?" asked uncertainly. "It's extraordinary. It's impossible. And yet here it is, working perfectly, built by 3 children who missed their mother." Moved closer and put her hands on Tao's shoulders. "What happens now? Are you going to take the beacon away, study it in some laboratory?" Doctor shook her head. "No, this beacon belongs to your family, but I would like to study how it works with your permission, and I would like to talk to the children more about their abilities. What they've done here could change everything for humanity, for everyone in the galaxy. We just wanted Mommy to come home, said quietly. Doctor smiled at the little cub with the warmest expression she had ever shown anyone. And because of that, because 3 children loved their mother enough to break the laws of physics, the whole universe might become a smaller, warmer place. That's not nothing, little one. That's everything. The beacon continued to glow under the bed, pulsing with its soft blue light. The signal it sent was still traveling, still carrying its message of love across the stars. And somewhere, 4,000 light-years away, a mother was already on her way home. The scientists would study the beacon for years. They would write papers and hold conferences and argue about theories. They would try to replicate what the Cubs had done, with mixed results, because the truth was something that science had never fully grasped. Love was not just an emotion, it was a force, a power, a way of bending reality itself. And 3 small children had proven it. Commander Park had never broken a rule in her life. She had served the Federation for 15 years with a perfect record. She followed orders. She respected the chain of command. She did what she was told, even when it hurt, even when it meant missing birthdays and anniversaries and all the small moments that made a family whole. But that was before she heard her children's voices across 4,000 light-years, before she saw the beacon they had built from scraps and love, before she understood what they had done for her. Now, rules did not matter anymore. The scout ship was small and fast, designed for short-range patrols around the outpost. It was not meant for long-distance travel. Its fuel reserves were limited. Its navigation systems were basic. Flying it all the way to Earth was foolish, dangerous, and completely against regulations. Did not care. She had launched from the outpost bay before anyone could stop her. The alarms had started immediately, flashing red across every screen, warning her that she was leaving without authorization. She had ignored them. She had pushed the engines to full power and pointed the ship toward home. The first communication came 3 minutes after launch. Lieutenant, her second in command, appeared on the screen looking worried and confused. Commander, what are you doing? You can't just take a scout ship without filing a flight plan. Command is going to be furious. Then let them be furious, said. Her hands moved across the controls, calculating the fastest route to Earth. I'm going home, my children called me. Your children, Commander, I don't understand. They built a beacon. My Bobbies built an interstellar beacon from broken toys and kitchen parts. They sent a signal across the galaxy because they missed me. And you think I'm going to stay here and fill out paperwork? Was silent for a moment. He was a good officer, loyal, but he had never seen this side of his commander before. Park was always calm, always controlled. The woman on his screen now was someone different, someone wild and desperate and full of fire. I'll cover for you as long as I can, he said finally, but command will notice. They'll send ships after you. Let them try to catch me. Cut the communication and focused on flying. The scout ship was not designed for subspace travel, but it had emergency jump capability for escaping dangerous situations. She activated the jump drive and felt the universe bend around her. The first jump took her 200 light-years closer to Earth. She emerged from subspace with warning lights flashing everywhere. The engines were overheating. The fuel reserves had dropped by a quarter. The ship's computer was displaying error messages in 3 different languages. Ignored all of it and jumped again. By the 5th jump, the scout ship was falling apart. Systems were failing left and right. The life support was running on backup power. The hull was showing stress fractures from the repeated subspace transitions. Any sensible person would have stopped, turned around, called for help. Was not feeling sensible. She was feeling like a mother who had been away from her children for too long. The communication screen lit up again. This time, the face that appeared was not. It was Admiral, the commanding officer of the entire sector. His expression was a mixture of anger and disbelief. "Commander Park," he said, his voice cold and formal, "you are in direct violation of 14 Federation regulations. You have stolen military property. You have abandoned your post. You have endangered yourself and the resources of the Federation. Do you have anything to say for yourself?" Looked at the Admiral's face. She had known him for years. He had been the one to give her this assignment, promising that it would only be for 6 months. 6 months had become 11. 11 months away from her family. 11 months of watching her children grow through a screen. "Sir," she said, her voice steady despite the chaos around her, "my children built an interstellar beacon from scraps. They rewrote the laws of physics because they missed me. My 4-year-old daughter cried for 3 days because I wasn't there for her birthday. If you think any regulation in the Federation is going to stop me from going home to them, then you don't understand what it means to be a mother." Admiral's expression did not change. "The Federation has rules for a reason, Commander. Personal feelings cannot be allowed to override military discipline. Then court-martial me, put me in prison, do whatever you need to do, but I am going home first. My children called me, Admiral. They reached across the stars with nothing but love and broken parts, and they called me. If I don't answer that call, I don't deserve to be called their mother." The Admiral was silent. His eyes, hard and cold a moment ago, seemed to soften slightly. Remembered that he had children too. A family waiting for him somewhere in the galaxy. "The signal your children sent," he said slowly. "It's being analyzed by our top scientists. They say it shouldn't be possible. They say it violates everything we know about subspace physics. My children are extraordinary, sir. It seems they are. An emotional resonance frequency, they're calling it. A way of traveling through subspace without brute force. If it can be replicated, it could revolutionize communication across the Federation. Travel times could be cut in half. Colonies that have been isolated for years could finally connect with each other." Waited, she could feel the ship shaking around her, the systems failing one by one. She did not have much time left. Admiral sighed. "The signal your children sent has been officially logged as a priority diplomatic communication from an emerging allied species. As such, you are being reassigned to Earth for an indefinite consultation period. Your mission is to support the ongoing research and to ensure the well-being of the subjects who created this breakthrough." It took a moment to understand what he was saying. "You're not court-martialing me. I'm giving you orders, Commander, legal orders. You are to proceed to Earth immediately and remain there until further notice." A small smile appeared on the Admiral's face. "Try to arrive through proper channels next time. The paperwork for stolen scout ships is extremely annoying." Laughed, it came out broken and wet, half sob and half joy. "Thank you, sir, thank you." "Don't thank me, thank your children. They've given the Federation something priceless. The least we can do is give them their mother back." The Admiral paused. "There's a supply ship 3 light-years from your position. They've been ordered to intercept you and transfer you to a proper transport vessel. Your scout ship is about to fall apart anyway." "I noticed." "Go home, Commander Park. That's an order." The screen went dark. Sat in the failing ship, surrounded by warning lights and error messages, and cried. She cried for 11 months of loneliness. She cried for missed birthdays and broken promises. She cried for the beautiful, impossible children who had refused to accept that the stars were too far away. The supply ship found her 2 hours later. Her scout ship was barely holding together, drifting in the void with almost no power left. The crew looked at her with a mixture of respect and amazement. Everyone had heard the story by now. The commander who had broken every rule to answer her children's call. "We'll have you on Earth in 18 hours, ma'am," the captain said as boarded. "Fastest ship in the sector." "Thank you," whispered. She found a quiet corner and opened a communication channel to home. His face appeared, tired and worried and beautiful. "I'm coming," said. "I'm on my way. Tell the children. Tell them Mommy is coming home." On the screen, she heard three small voices explode with joy. Tao shouting with excitement, crying happy tears, screaming "Mommy" over and over again. 18 hours. After 11 months of waiting, it felt like nothing at all. The shuttle descended through the clouds over Seoul as the sun began to set. The sky was painted in shades of orange and pink and gold, colors that had not seen in 11 months. The outpost had no sunsets. It had only the endless dark of space and the cold light of distant stars. But now she was home, and the sky was welcoming her back with the most beautiful display she had ever seen. Pressed her face against the window like a child. Below her, the city spread out in a maze of lights and buildings and life. Somewhere down there was her house, her family, her children who had bent the laws of the universe to bring her back. The pilot's voice came through the speaker. "Commander Park, we're approaching your residence. Clearance has been given for a direct landing. You should be on the ground in 5 minutes." 5 minutes. After 11 months, 5 minutes felt like forever. The shuttle dropped lower, passing over neighborhoods and parks and schools. Recognized the streets now. She had walked these streets with when they were young, before the children, before the military, before everything became complicated. She had dreamed of these streets during long nights on the outpost, when sleep would not come and memories were all she had. And then she saw the house. It was small and white with a blue door. The garden that loved was blooming with flowers, red and yellow and purple against the green grass. There was a swing set in the backyard that had helped build before her last deployment. And standing in front of the house, looking up at the sky with hope written on their faces, was her family. Was holding in her arms. The little cub was bouncing with excitement, her white fur glowing in the sunset light. Beside them stood Tao, and hand in hand, their tails swishing back and forth with barely contained energy. The shuttle landed in the backyard, crushing a section of garden. The flowers bent and broke under the weight of the ship. Winced, knowing how much work had put into those plants. But was already running toward the shuttle. She did not look at the garden. She did not look at anything except the opening door of the ship. Stepped out onto the grass, and time stopped. For a moment, nobody moved. Stood at the shuttle door, her uniform wrinkled from 18 hours of travel, her eyes red from crying, her heart beating so hard she thought it might break through her chest. And her family stood before her, frozen in that perfect moment of reunion. Then screamed, "Mommy!" The little cub launched herself out of his arms and sprinted across the grass. She hit his legs like a small, furry torpedo, wrapping her arms and tail around with a grip that could not be broken. Her purrs were so loud they vibrated through his entire body. "Mommy, mommy, mommy, you came, the beacon worked, I knew it would work, I felt it was the right color, and it found you, and you came home just like I wanted." Dropped to her knees and pulled into a proper hug. The cub was bigger than she remembered, heavier. Her fur smelled like home, like the special shampoo that used, like safety and love and everything good in the universe. "I came, baby," whispered. "I came as fast as I could." Then Tao arrived and was buried under a pile of small, furry bodies. Tao was trying to explain the beacon's technical specifications between hugs, was crying and laughing at the same time, her golden fur wet with tears. They all talked over each other, three voices mixing into a beautiful chaos of love and relief. Reached them last. She stood at the edge of the pile, watching with tears streaming down her face. Looked up at her wife, her partner, the woman who had held the family together through 11 months of absence. "Hi," said, her voice cracking. "Hi yourself," replied. They kissed over the heads of their children, a kiss that tasted like tears and relief and homecoming. The cubs made disgusted sounds and tried to wiggle away but held them close. She was not letting go, not ever again. "Your garden," said, gesturing at the crushed flowers behind the shuttle. laughed. I don't care about the garden, I care about you. The flowers will grow back, you're here now, that's all that matters. They stayed in the backyard until the sun disappeared completely and the stars came out. The same stars that had watched from the outpost, cold and distant. But from here, with her family pressed against her, they looked different. Warmer, closer, like friends instead of strangers. Tell me about the beacon, said. She was sitting on the grass now in her lap, Tao, and leaning against her sides. Was behind her, arms wrapped around everyone. Tao launched into an explanation that was half science and half excitement. He talked about subspace frequencies and emotional resonance, and the tricks he had learned from his old engineering files. He talked about the nights he had stayed awake, studying and planning and dreaming of bringing his mother home. Added the parts Tao forgot, the math, the calculations, the way she had learned to feel the frequencies through her brother's descriptions, even though she could not sense them herself. And Sweet Little talked about colors, the colors in her head that nobody else could see, the way she had shaped the signal until it felt like love, like family, like home. She did not understand the science. She only understood feelings, and sometimes that was enough. You know what you've done, don't you? Asked when they were finished. The scientists say you might have changed everything, the way we communicate across space, the way we travel, the way we connect with each other. Tao's ears drooped slightly. Are we in trouble? No, baby. You're heroes. You did something that nobody else in the entire galaxy has ever done, because you loved me, because you missed me, because you refused to accept that the stars were too far away. We just wanted you to come home, said quietly. And I'm here because of you, because of what you built, kissed each of them on the head. My brilliant, impossible, wonderful children. That night they all slept in the same bed. It was crowded and warm and perfect. Lay in the middle, surrounded by her family, was pressed against her chest, already asleep, her small hand clutching his uniform collar, was curled at her side, purring softly. Tao had positioned himself as a guardian, one eye half open even in sleep. And was there, her fingers tracing patterns through his hair, her breath warm against his ear. You really broke 14 regulations, whispered. 15, actually. I lost count somewhere around the third jump. Worth it. Looked at her family, at the children she had crossed the stars to reach, at the wife who had waited for her with patience and love, at this life she had almost lost to distance and duty. Every single one, she said. The beacon still sat under his bed, still glowing with its soft blue light. Scientists would come to study it tomorrow. There would be interviews and research and endless questions. The Park family would become famous throughout the galaxy, symbols of what love could accomplish when it refused to accept limits. But that was tomorrow. Tonight there was only this. A mother reunited with her children, a family made whole again, and somewhere in the dark between the stars, a signal still echoed, carrying a message that the universe itself had chosen to deliver. Come home, we love you, we are waiting. And she had come, against all odds, against all rules, against everything that said it was impossible. Because that was what humans did, that was what families did, that was what love did. It found a way. Always.